Hello and welcome to what is a very exciting video for me, and I hope for you as well. Let's dive in, because just over 24 hours ago I decided that I wanted to create a COSMERE themed readathon. Well, actually I decided I wanted to create a readathon and my sister suggested I make it COSMERE inspired, and then I just did. Do I have any chill? No. Did you know this about me? I certainly hope so. So, welcome to my announcement for Shardathon, which is a COSMERE inspired readathon. If you don't know what the COSMERE is, it is the universe that Brandon Sanderson has created in which some, but not all, of his books take place. And the name Shardathon is related to the COSMERE, but I want to preface this whole thing by saying you don't have to be a fan of Sanderson or have even read any of his books to participate in this readathon. It is completely open to everyone. It's just that there are some little Easter eggs and things for those of us that are Sanderson fans in here too. So I did poll on Instagram whether people wanted this to be a 2-week or a month-long readathon, and 2 weeks won by a very, very narrow margin. So this readathon will be running in October, which I appreciate is a little way away in the future, but I wanted to get this video out here now because I'm going to be going back to teaching on campus soon, and I suspect that once I do that my life is going to get very slightly more chaotic. So I figured I'd set this all up now while I have a little bit extra time. This first round, because I do plan on hosting more of these, so I really hope it's successful, but this first round is Scadriel, which is the planet on which the Mistborn series takes place, and this is Era 1. So the relevant books, if you're interested, are The Final Empire, The Well of Ascension, and The Hero of Ages. Those are the first Era Mistborn books, but again, you don't have to have read them to participate in this readathon. So step 1 for this readathon is to choose yourself a character. I'm just going to move to the side here so I can put the graphics that I created on the screen. This is my first attempt at creating graphics, so they're a little bit basic, but I'm actually really pleased with how they turned out. So the first step is to pick your character. So you can either choose Sazed, Vin, or TenSoon. And again, those of you who have read the series will know, but these 3 individuals are characters from the first era of Mistborn. There aren't going to be any spoilers in this video or in this readathon either, by the way. So then for each of the characters there is a set of prompts. Now the magic on the planet Scadriel is metal based, so metals will give people certain abilities depending on how they use that particular metal, what kind of magician they are, that kind of thing. So in the first book, The Final Empire, there are 8 base metals: steel, iron, brass, copper, bronze, tin, pewter and zinc. And there are a couple of other metals that are mentioned in the first era of the Mistborn series and in that first book, but those are the 8 main ones that are focused on in the story, and there is also an 11th metal, which I'll come back to. So what I've done is I've created sort of bingo board type things for each of the characters. So you have one for Sazed, one for Vin, and one for TenSoon. So you pick your character, you select your bingo board, or it's more like noughts and crosses kind of size, but you know what I mean. And you just cross off each of the metals as you read the corresponding prompt. So there is a prompt for each of the metals for each of the characters, and they're all themed around that character's magic and personality. So that's why there are 3 different sets of prompts. And if you've read the series, you might decide to pick a character based on which character you like, or you might decide to pick it based on which set of prompts you like. You can do whatever you want. What I will also say is that if you want to play the game properly, then you read a separate book for every single prompt, and then when we get to round 2, which will be Era 2, Mistborn, you will have to use the character that corresponds to the character that you picked for round 1, which I will explain in more detail when we get to round 2, but hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. However, this is very, very chill. There are no Shardathon police. I haven't brought any Inquisitors on board. Those of you who know. So do whatever you feel like. If you don't like all of the prompts for one character, pick some from a different character. If you want to read one book that fits all of the prompts, I'd be impressed if you managed to do that, but go ahead and do that. Read as much or as little as you want. So let's get into the prompts. We'll start off with Sazed, who I think has the most challenging list of prompts, and there is a canon reason for that. But again, you don't need to know any of that. So for Iron, which stores weight, you have to read a book that is over 400 pages. Then for Steel, that stores speed, you will pick a quick read. For Tin, which stores senses, you will pick a book that will make you cry. And this, of course, is something you think will make you cry. If you read the book and it didn't make you cry, then that's fine. It still counts. Pewter stores strength, so you should reread a favourite. Zinc stores mental speed, so you should read a non-fiction book. Brass stores warmth, so read a book set in a hot climate. Now for this next one, grab a piece of paper or your phone or a notebook or whatever, because the next one is Copper, which stores memories, and you need to, for this one, read the first book you think of. Whatever book you just thought of, write it down. That's on your TBR. And finally, for Bronze, we store wakefulness. And for this one, you can read a prompt from Vin's list. So speaking of Vin, let's move over to her prompts. So Iron is pulling metal, read a new book. And this is a book that's either new to you, that you've recently hauled, or that you've recently heard about, or that's a new release. You can really interpret this however you want. Steel, push metals, a book that has been pushed back on your TBR for a while. Tin, heighten the senses, read a book that will make you angry. And again, feel free to interpret that however you want. Pewter is to increase physical powers, so read a book in one sitting. Zinc inflames emotions, so read a book with mental health themes. And again, free for interpretation. Brass is soothe emotions, read a book and eat a snack. You don't have to finish the whole book, just have a snack while you read, or a cup of tea, or whatever you want. Copper hides powers. So for this one, you're going to read a book from one of the prompts on Tensoon's list, who we're going to come to in a moment. But the final one for Vin is Bronze, hear powers. You need to read an audiobook. And bear in mind that you can access audiobooks for free through your library. This isn't sponsored or anything. I personally use the app Libby, which I find really, really good. If your library isn't signed up with that particular provider, they'll be signed up with somebody, so you don't need to spend any money to get hold of an audiobook. You'll be able to get one through your library. And so we finally come to Tensoon's list of prompts. So Iron is strength, read a book recommended by a friend. Steel is allomantic physical powers, read a book under 200 pages. Tin is the senses, read a book that will make you laugh. And again, doesn't have to actually make you laugh, it's just one you think will make you laugh. Pewter, ferrochemical physical powers, read a book from Sazed's list of prompts. Zinc, emotional fortitude, read an empowering book. And again, this is whatever empowering means to you. Brass is ferrochemical cognitive powers, read a challenging book. Again, open for interpretation. Copper is mental fortitude, memory and intelligence. Read the last book that you added to your TBR. And yes, you can go ahead and add something to your TBR just for the purposes of this particular prompt, if you want to. And finally, bronze, allomantic cognitive powers. Read a middle grade book. And that's it. Those are all of the prompts. So as you read a book for each of the prompts, you can tick them off of the, let's call it a bingo board. And then you will see that in the middle is 11th Metal, which is a reference to the Mistborn series, but it just so happens that it's also the group book for this readathon. So I wanted to include a Brandon Sanderson book as a group book for this readathon, since this is a Cosmere inspired readathon. So, but I also didn't want to make this book super long and difficult to read or get hold of or anything like that. So what I did is I picked the 11th Metal, which is a short story. I have a copy of it in here, which is Arcanum Unbounded, which is a bind-up of all of Sanderson's Cosmere short stories so far, and it is a very short novella. My copy is 18 pages long in a standard UK sized paperback with pretty standard font, so it's a very short read. Also, it is a prequel to the Mistborn series, so you can read it having read the Mistborn series, or you can read it having not read the Mistborn series at all. So it should be suitable for everyone. Admittedly, I have already read it, but I will reread it for the purposes of this readathon. And I think that's everything I needed to tell you. All of the graphics that I put up on screen will be down in the description bar. I will put a little Google Drive link where you can access them, but I will also post them to my Instagram stories as well, so you can just screenshot them if that is easier for you. And I really hope that you will join me for this readathon. I will do TBR suggestion videos for each of the characters, and then I will let you know which one I'm going to do. I haven't actually decided yet. I didn't make up any of these prompts with specific books in mind for myself, so I'm going to have to build a TBR for this one as well. But I'm really looking forward to this readathon and running it. I will try and do sort of reading sprints and read-ins and that kind of thing. I don't have all of those details sorted out yet, but more to come on that later. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks! Bye!